What 24%?
Your child is gonna become a apostate. Your child is gonna become an apostate.
24%? What 24%?
Your child is gonna become an apostate. Your child is gonna become an apostate.
One of the more shocking things that I have experienced over the course of those years are the number of young boys and girls who have openly declared their apostasy to me.
24%? What 24%?
Your child is gonna become.
You're imagining this deformed thing, and they say it moves, and you're imagining it hopping, and they go, oh, but don't imagine it. You're thinking, well, it's a bit late, mate. What? Not imagine it. Don't imagine it. Don't imagine it. It's a bit late for that, mate. Don't imagine it. Don't imagine it.
The Quran says that Allah has one eye, and another ayah says He has multiple eyes, multiple eyes, and both of Allah's hands are right hands.
Both of them are right. How? I don't know. Don't try. Don't try.
Don't imagine it. Don't imagine it. It's a bit late for that, mate. Don't imagine it. Don't imagine it.
The fingers of Allah are mentioned. The shin of Allah is mentioned. The face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioned. So all these are a direct indication that Allah has got a shape.
How? I don't know.
Don't imagine it. Don't imagine it. It's a bit late for that, mate. Don't imagine it. Don't imagine it. Let me dumb this down for you guys. This one, God, body parts. This one, no body parts.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream today. We are UK European time friendly, so hope that all of our UK viewers, supporters, people in Europe, everybody, that's decent time zone for you guys. I hope that you guys can join us live today. We got Chris with us. What's up, Chris? How you doing?
I'm doing good, Jai. How are you?
Good, man. We are happy to have you once again. I saw a
Always
comment.
a pleasure.
People are asking how you're healing up. Like, how's your nose? I just want to, yeah, right here. There you go. How you doing?
How's your nose doing, Chris? Yeah, doing all good. It's left a nice little scar, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it looked a lot worse than it was. Like, there was no like breaking or anything. It was just somehow he managed to cut me as he hit me. Yeah, still a bit of a mystery how he did that. But some people think maybe he had like a ring on and the ring caught my nose. But yeah, I'm healing fine. I have a chest infection, which is not great, which is a totally separate thing that I probably had at the time. But yeah, I'm now having like on antibiotics, so I'm getting there.
All right, man. We'll keep Chris in your prayers.
Please do.
I also saw people asking about DOC. Yes, we miss DOC. She's doing well. I saw a comment asking about her as well. She is doing well. We are just in this unpredictable situation where we don't know timelines for things, but we just ask for you guys for your prayers. Pray for Chris, his healing with his chest. His nose is all better now. Just got a scar there. And then for DOC and our situation, we hope to be back soon. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And we want to bring you guys once again this right here. Check this out.
Oh, yes.
I found something out that's pretty cool. So if you scroll down, it tells you where it's the best seller, like with the ranks for the best sellers over here. So you got it in number 1 in Islamic theology, number 1 in Islamic Quran, and number 3. Wait, how's? So you're number 1 in the Kindle and you're number 3 in books. Wait, so is it selling? Are you able to buy the books right now? Is that?
No, you can't. So I guess books also includes the Kindle.
Interesting. Okay.
Just a reference, by the way.
Reveals.
So I actually checked this last night. Actually, I don't think I sent it you, but I sent it to David because I thought he'd find it funny. I was number 2 last night.
For which category now?
For this category, I think.
Oh, for this category, okay. So you were right next to Nabil.
Right next to Nabil, and I thought, man, I never thought if you told me 5 years ago that had happened, like I would not believe you.
Let me just put it full screen real quick. Check it out, guys. We got Chris in the top 3. So it is top 3 in the books. So that's interesting. So, but you can only get it right now for Kindle, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, guys. So check that out. We do have the link pinned. We do have the link pinned, and let's go back down to the categories where you're ranked in right now. Now, I think you also are ranked in Christian evangelism, but it's just not listed here.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not. So basically, when when I sort of upload the book to Amazon, they ask you what categories you want the book to appear in. So I chose Islamic theology, the Quran, and Christian evangelism, because I thought those would be kind of the 3 main things that it probably appealed in. So yeah, being number 1 in new releases on the Quran is kind of funny, but
yeah, that's pretty epic, man. It's pretty epic.
yeah, it is. So this is really cool. I'm hopefully going to do some stuff with David Word and God Logic at some point as well to promote the book, and hopefully that'll make it increase even more so in its rank on Amazon, which is really, really cool.
That's this Saturday, guys, the release.
Yes, the book, which is this thing here.
Let me give you full screen real quick.
Full screen, yeah.
Boom.
Keep in mind, this is a proof copy, and I've also updated the cover slightly since. But yeah, this is the hardback edition. This comes out on the 25th, so does the paperback.
Hold on. There you go.
The paperback. And I put my heart and soul into this. I have never in my life put so much dedicated and constant effort into something. So I don't know. It's not, I mean, it's written in an academic way. I'm not part of academia, obviously, but everything is sourced. There's a big bibliography. I wrote it in the Chicago manual of style.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a really.
Sorry, if you guys are hearing cat noises, I'm in a different location today, and there's animals.
Even the cat would like the Islamic Dilemma book. But yeah, it's if you want to support me, or if you're interested in any way in the Islamic Dilemma, probably the hardest argument against Islam at the moment, then get the book next Saturday.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of people said they already pre-ordered it. A lot of people said they're also waiting on the physical copies, soft or hard cover, and so that's really exciting. We're looking forward to those being released. And as Chris said, you guys will hopefully see him with Avery, with David, with IP, and maybe some other channels that you guys are familiar with, but that don't really focus on Islam that much. We're gonna try to, by we, I mean David is gonna try to get Chris connected. So we want to definitely support our brother with that in any way that we can. And guys, once again, the link is pinned, and you guys can pre-order right now for the Kindle edition. So also, guys, we are live right now on Kick as well. So if you guys want to check out Kick, I don't know if anyone is familiar. You guys are familiar with Kick. Kick is it's like a alternative to, well, it's an alternative to Twitch TV. Like they do streaming, like mostly game streaming. But there's also a category of IRL streaming, where people basically take their cameras, take their equipment, go out into the world, and you can kind of live life through them or with them, however they kind of frame it. But or you can see what they're doing, just check out what they're doing in real life. So there's Kick, there's Kick. There's also Rumble as well. We had Rumble. We do have Rumble still. But on StreamYard, just the way that things are connected on StreamYard, it's so much easier to run Kick, YouTube, X. You can do them all at the same time. Whereas with Rumble, you need to do a bunch of extra steps, and it makes more sense to use Kick. So Kick is basically where we're going to be backing up all of our live streams, as in case something happens to them on YouTube, they're going to be backed up on Kick. So you guys don't have to go over there and join it or anything like that. But people who do have Kick and you want to watch on Kick, there's an option for you. And that's also where you have Sneeko streams on Kick, and a lot of the big IRL streamers, or I don't want to know if I want to mention names or not because I don't. I think Sneaker is as far as I'll go. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, we're on there. We're live there right now, and as well as on YouTube, of course. All right. So we got some super chats real quick. Yeah, Allah, so many enemies. I mean, Muslim brothers. Yes. In light of that, we do have Ali Dawa, featuring Ali Dawa.
Who needs enemies when you have Muslims? Who needs enemies when you have Muslims? Who needs enemies? Who needs, alhamdulillah, who needs enemies, guys, when you got Muslims? Who needs enemies? Wallahi, let me tell you something. Who needs enemies when you have Muslims? Wallahi, who needs enemies when you have these Muslims? Alhamdulillah.
I should have put like a counter how many times he said that.
He really wants you to know that, right?
Yeah.
It's like he prepared to go to the corner just to say that phrase again and again and again, and that's all he's got.
I mean, come on, man. Like, dude, like this guy's supposed to be like the Dawa guy. He's supposed to be making Islam look good. And he's like, just let you guys know, if you do become a Muslim, you're gonna have a lot of enemies. But not from the outside world. Yeah, I mean, we're talking within the Muslim world. So yeah, we pray for Muslims, guys. Pray for Ali Dawa. Pray for their salvation.
Amen.
All right, we got in the Gospel of Luke. Is that 1 verse 4, or is it chapters 1 through 4? When it speaks about different testimonies, does it imply the Bible consists of both hearsay and divine inspiration? I'm assuming you mean verse 1, chapter 1, verse 4. And the answer is, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you
when you hearsay, so first of all, Luke makes it very clear that he's in a thorough investigation of the testimonies he's aware of. So I wouldn't say hearsay if you mean like unfounded, speculative, literally like gossip. You just heard people say that. Then the answer is no. I don't think the biblical account is based on that at all. It's clearly based on a very thought out account of testimony. So in that sense, yeah, I would just say that careful witness is divinely inspired.
Exactly. So we will try to get on the screen here. Yes.
You put up 1-1. Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, trying to fit it all in there. Okay. We'll just remove the comment and make it a little easier. Okay. So, inasmuch as many have taken in hand to set in order a narrative of those things which have been fulfilled among us, just as those who from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the word delivered them to us. Now, I just want to comment on this real quick. Eyewitnesses and servants are ministers of the word. Normally, when we read this, we're thinking like the word as in like this is like the word of the gospel. But actually, there's a number of church fathers, and I think this is a really like valid way of interpreting it, is that the word here is just like in John 1:1, it's referring to the word, the Lord Jesus Christ. But also in Revelation 19, written the word of God. So this is the word is another way to refer to the Lord Jesus Christ. Even in the Quran, Muslims, because I think I'm not sure if there's a Muslim asking or not, but Jesus is the word. So eyewitnesses and servants are ministers of the word. That's Jesus. So either it's Jesus or it's the gospel about Jesus. But you have valid ways of interpreting it both ways. Just wanted to comment on that. It seemed good to me also, having had perfect understanding of all things from the very first, to write to you an open, an orderly account, most excellent Theophilus, that you may know the certainty of those things in which you were instructed. Yes. So this is Luke chapter 1. And as Chris said, there's zero reason to think that this is not written by inspiration. Okay, so let's go. We got Radical Moderates. Chris, you should ask Hassan Shibli to read his book for Audible. Ask Hassan Shibli to read your book for Audible.
Okay.
I couldn't see that guy's voice. Oh yeah, read parts of a manual for washer and dryer. Really?
I'm not familiar with this. Are you familiar with this?
The name. I'm familiar with the name. I'm familiar with the name. I think he debated IP at a DebateCon or something, or Monitor Debate or something like that, one of the conferences. So I'm familiar with the name, but I'm not familiar with the voice. I feel like we should get the voice in real quick just so we can know what Radical Monitor is referring to, though. Let's see. I'll pull something up. So he wants.
You're gonna go find like a clip of him speaking.
Yeah, real quick.
So Apologetics England said, yeah, it's from the IP debate. So it is that guy. Wait, in which case, then I've probably, if it's who I think it is, I've probably heard his voice.
Okay.
If it's who I think. Was it the debate on like whether Jesus was a Muslim?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So I guess we're gonna see what he sounds like. If it loads. It doesn't want to load.
To my God and your God. Again, Jesus distinguishing, surrendering, and worshiping and honoring.
Okay. So that's the guy Radical Monitor wants to listen to all day. All right. So with all of that being said, we do have part 2 of the debate between Libyano, the Orthodox Muslim, and Timothy. And Chris, Timothy is a regular at Speaker's Corner, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Okay. And he debated with Orthodox Muslim. It was like, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago, maybe at this time? 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, I think. Yeah.
All right. And so we're on part 2. We're on part 2 of the review. And we ended at a part where I wanted to kind of like rewind and kind of start back from where we ended off, like right before we ended last week, because I remembered that we were like running close on like our time last week, and there's so much to say and unpack with what he said. So I wanted to kind of give it justice. So any comments that you want to make, Chris, or any comments that you've seen that you want to comment on from the chat, or anything that you want to say before we get started on the debate?
No, good. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be really awesome. I think me and Jai both think very highly of this kind of argument, talking about the Qur'an, the Aruf, and how it basically boils down to like different Qurans. So this is really interesting to both of us, and we're going to thoroughly enjoy this.
Awesome. Yes, I've also noticed that it's been taking off on TikTok. Like not this particular argument, but like variations of it, where people are asking Muslims sort of counter arguments to what they call the logical problem of the Trinity. They're creating parallel arguments based on similar logic and similar questioning that Muslims use. And depending on which model the Muslim uses to count, they're trying to see if they would fit into the problem that they're trying to present for the Christians. And so because of that, I thought that was really cool to see that that's spreading, because there are some arguments that have been around for years and years and years and years. And like the Islamic dilemma, right? The Islamic dilemma has been around for years and years and years and years, but recently it took off. Like, last year was the year of the Islamic dilemma. It really took off, really became very, very popular.
Hey Jay, I heard some guys even written a book about it.
Yeah, we even got someone writing a book on it.
Guys even written a book on the Islamic dilemma.
Yeah,
must be really popular. Must be really popular right now.
Yeah. So the Islamic dilemma is a great example where it's an argument that's been around for years, and it's recently become popularized to the point where someone's writing a book about it, and it's hitting number 1 in Islamic studies and all that stuff. So the argument about the different readings of the Quran, the variations of the Quran, or the multiplicity of Qurans that we have, and paralleling that to arguments that Muslims make against the Trinity, or just using it as an argument independent of that, has been around for a while, but it's really taking off, especially on TikTok. And so if people who are watching, and you guys are some of like the content creators on TikTok, or you guys are some of the debaters on TikTok who debate these issues, I've noticed that a lot of them have really great philosophy. They have really great, here's different, like the classical way to count, and then you have different models of counting, and type, and so they have that stuff down really well, and they can articulate that really well. And I think that one way for their arguments to get strengthened would be like information about the variant Qurans in the Islamic sources, because some of the counters that Muslims have come back with are saying, oh, actually, the Qurans they're just parts of the whole. Like you have this is a part, like Hafs is a part, or like Ahruf number 1 or Harf number 1 out of 7 is like just a part, and then they make up the one Quran. Or you have some Muslims who say that actually no, Hafs is like fully the Quran, and Warsh is fully the Quran, Qalun is fully the Quran, etc., and they all like also collectively make up the one Quran, even though they're all fully the Quran in different ways. And so there's so many different things that Muslims say that they're just coming up with to try to get out of it on like a philosophical level, but it doesn't hold on an Islamic level in terms of, are you actually allowed to make these sort of statements that they're making? So I think that if they can take their philosophical knowledge on this argument and then equip them with some sort of information on the Islamic side of like ahruf, qira'at, etc., then hopefully that would kind of strengthen the argument overall. And ultimately, what we want to do is we want to just continuously just come up with all sorts of different arguments to show Muslims why they shouldn't trust Islam. And we want to, both of these topics really well point Muslims to the gospel, and they point them to Lord Jesus Christ. Islamic dilemma in very obvious ways, because you're literally showing them that the Quran affirms the Bible, and that if they read that Bible, they're going to come to Lord Jesus Christ. This argument in another way about the Quran not being preserved, because, well, we'll kind of get into that, but it sort of like paves a way for you to present the gospel as well. So that's our hope when we do this. Like, we don't want to see Muslims becoming like agnostics, atheists, or Hindus or whatever. We want to see them following the Lord Jesus Christ. We don't want to just see them leave Islam. So the arguments, we hope will take them out of Islam, and then we pray that when they're presented with the gospel, that they will receive the Lord Jesus Christ. So, Amen. Yeah. That being said, shall we begin? Shall we get started?
Let's get into it. Yeah, let's do it.
Go. Okay. So right here. All right.
I mean, different words, not necessarily. Yes. So some people will say that it's dialects.
No, it's different.
You're not saying that it's dialects.
Different words and different meanings.
And you're saying 100% of the 7 ahruf is contained within the 10 qira'at. Yeah. And you won't be able to show half by half. You just say that's all within there. How would you be able to prove that claim that each of the? Are you saying that each qira'ah has a selection of the 7?
Yes.
And then 100% is found within the 10.
Yes.
How would you be able to establish that claim?
Okay, so I just told you these 7 ahruf were revealed. The Prophet recited them. The Prophet taught them. Okay?
Yeah.
And when the Prophet taught these, and as Quran teachers came and knew the Quran and started teaching others, transmitting the Quran, it is reasonable to assume that these 7 ahruf are contained in these transmitted readings.
You said to assume.
Yeah,
that's a big problem.
Sorry.
Please, brother, let me have the one-on-one, because I'm surrounded by Muslims.
Sorry. I just want to let you know history is probabilistic.
Yeah, but you said it's what? But we're talking about.
Oh boy.
No, so he's true. History is probabilistic in the sense of like you don't have a time machine, so you can only base it off what you have, and it increases the odds of whether or not something is actually historical or not. That's fine. Yeah. The reason why I find that funny is because
like the reasons he gave to
he was like, oh, I assume it is, and then he's basically trying to say, by saying like, history is all about probability, right? He's trying to imply that what he's arguing is more probable than not,
right?
But so far he's given zero evidence of his view, and that's because there is zero evidence of his view. Correct. So and it's just funny like how he's just sidestepping this by trying to give him a lesson on what you can figure out to be historic or not. And the nerve to say it's more probable than not when he has no evidence for this is insane. Really, this is just out there. He went from it's an assumption to it's more probable than not, without actually explaining how or why or what even is the ahruf he's trying to tell us is there in the different qira'at readings. He has no idea. No one does.
Yeah.
So it's on another level.
Yeah, so again, this is where we want to come in, and we want to like our brothers who are, you know, we're doing these arguments, and like they can talk about, you know, classical identity, relative identity. This is how, you know, different counting methods. You guys, when you guys are arguing about ahruf, and they respond something to like what Orthodox Muslim just said, and he presents that as the Orthodox position. The Orthodox position. It's not the Orthodox position. This is not the position of the majority of scholars, although he seems to think that it is. But I wonder if, you know, this is just like a confidence trickster thing, where it's like you just say something so like matter of factly.
Yeah, it is. It's confidence tricking. Yeah, well, it's gaslighting you.
Yeah, because it's
basically
like, oh, this is the position of the Muslim scholars, when it's actually not. It's actually not.
Yeah,
so as Chris pointed out, it's like, first of all, you have to define what does ahruf even mean. And you don't need to get into specifics of how to differentiate them or what kind of variants within them exist, other than to say that the Muslim will agree that, like, you know, if you were to say, like, you know, so ahruf is the plural, harf is the singular. So like so if you're counting it, like harf number 1, harf number 2, harf number 3, there's a difference between number 1 and number 2. There's a difference between number 1 and number 3. Right. And so whatever that is, whether it's like extra words or different wordings or different vocalizations that might change the meaning, whatever that difference is, the fact that there's a difference there.
Yeah,
so that's number one.
Just to like jump on, I was thinking about this after our last stream. I don't think you even need to argue that there are any differences in the meaning of the words. There absolutely are, and there are contradictions there. But I don't even think you need to argue that. You just need to get them to admit that there is differences, even just in like recitation, because then you say, well, then basically you've got different Qurans on your hands now, don't you? Exactly. And they're going to have to try to figure out how they reject that, which they're going to have a really difficult time doing.
Yeah. So from what I could gather, his reasoning, which is why he thinks it's reasonable to assume, I think that's the word he said, that it's reasonable to assume that all the 7 ahruf exist today. And you guys might be wondering, like, why are we saying like ahruf? Like, why are we using the Arabic term? It's because nobody knows what it means. So you can't translate a term that you don't know the meaning of. So there have been some Orientalists who have translated it into modes, which is, it sounds like nice.
Jeffrey, I think, said that one.
Right. Yeah. You have some early scholars who translate it as modes, and they're more translating like as a concept, like conceptually. Like when they're saying mode, they're not doing, it's not like a literal translation of what like harf or ahruf means. So if you want to say modes, you can, but it's not like literal to what the Arabic is saying. Again, and that's also another, like, what is the Arabic saying? What is the literal to the Arabic? Because nobody knows what it means. So anyway, my point is that he's saying that there's 7 exists, and he thinks it's reasonable because he said that Muhammad taught it. He would have taught the Quran in all 7, I'll just say modes, all 7 modes to his companions. And if he taught it, that therefore it must mean that they just go on existing forever, I think is what he's saying. But even within the Quran, like, let's just take I don't know how even would kind of parse this, like, because there's also another difficulty, which is like, what's the relationship between those modes and the Qurans that we have today? And that's also like a very puzzling question that Muslim scholars don't actually know the answers to. Libyano's answer to that is that the Qurans that we have today are simply combinations of the 7 modes.
Pick a mix.
Yeah, it's like you know, you can choose digit, you know, 1 through 7, and each you know, so you have 7 digits, seven options, and each one is 7, you know, combinations, and you can just kind of pick like 1 through 7, I think is what he's suggesting for each one, and then you kind of get the Qurans that we have today. So even like if we just take one of those Qurans that we have today, you still have something that is called abrogation. So if you use his logic, Muhammad said this at one time, he taught it to people, therefore the reasonable assumption is that continues to exist today. There's a category within abrogation, which is that it's abrogated in recitation. It might be there in practice, like stoning, for example, but there's no verse of stoning in the Quran today, any Quran that we have today. For the canonical readings, we might know what it said in some of the literature, but we don't have it in any of the canonical Qurans today. So here's an example where you have Muhammad, according to Islamic tradition, he would have said something, he would have taught that thing, and that goes on for however long, and then it gets abrogated, and Muslims are no longer saying that anymore, so it's not in existence anymore, at least from like the Sunni Muslim paradigm. So his reasoning doesn't work. Just because Muhammad said something, let's say he taught the Quran in all 7 modes, which by the way, Muslim scholars debate that as well. Did he actually teach in every 7 mode, or did he just give permission for different, like there's differences there. But whatever it is, the idea that just because Muhammad taught something and that means that it's therefore solidified and it's like cemented through all history after that, it's not true. So that's bad reasoning, and so it's not reasonable to assume, contrary to what he says.
Good point. Good point.
All right, so let's see how this progresses.
The words of Allah here.
Yeah, I understand.
You say, wait.
We're making.
Wait.
This is important.
Don't
tell me to wait. I'm talking, brother.
Yeah, but you
I'm
said
answering your question.
Okay.
Don't tell me to wait in the middle of answering your question. Remember, we're trying to make a historical case. I have a historical hypothesis. History is probabilistic. That's why I'm giving you a reasonable hypothesis based on the reasonable relevant data.
Okay.
Wait. Pause it there.
Okay,
I've really got to just drive this home.
Yeah.
Notice he said he's giving a reasonable hypothesis. Right. But if history is probabilistic, you need a probable hypothesis. Otherwise, we would reject what you say, right? If I tell you, hey, I have a view, it's not probable to be true. It's actually more probable it's false, because if something's not probable to be true, it's more likely to be false. Then you should reject it. But he's playing with words, and now he's switching it to it's reasonable. What he's saying is it's plausible, basically. He's saying theoretically this could happen. You know, pigs could fly one day. I guess it's theoretically possible. So, you know, history is plausible. It's probabilistic, guys. So maybe in the past pigs did fly. You know, it's plausible. It's a reasonable assumption. You see what he's doing? He's not actually giving any evidence because he knows there is none.
Exactly. And the only reason he gave so far was that he assumes that Muhammad taught all 7 modes, and because he taught them, that it's reasonable to assume that these are still in existence today. When that doesn't follow at all. It doesn't follow at all. But okay, let's go.
Yes, we could have a certain level of certainty. It's called epistemic certainty. There's a difference between metaphysical certainty and epistemic certainty. We are epistemically certain that the 7 are preserved in the canonical readings.
Okay, I'm sorry. I can't get over that. Did he just say like the opposing thing? Did he not just say that it was reasonable to assume that, you know, you can have this reasonable explanation that this happened, and now he's just turned around and went, no, he has epistemic certainty that this happened.
Actually, he said it actually incorrectly.
He said there are levels of certainty.
Yeah, I know, there's actually a correct term. There's a correct term that he should be using. There's a sheikh who said it somewhere. Let me just.
If you want to be shaky, this means that you don't have certainty.
He meant to say epistemic certainty. That's what he meant to say.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah, that phrase.
Yeah. That's
epistemic certainty.
Epistemic certainty. Yeah. So he went from reasonable to assume to epistemic certainty. How did he make that jump?
On different levels.
In the matter of like 5 seconds, how did he make that jump?
I don't know. I just can't believe he just went back on himself so quickly.
I mean, I think if I really honestly just rewind it like 10 seconds, he says it like within the span of 10. Let me just do that real quick.
Yeah, literally. Like,
let me just let's see.
Yes, we could have a certain level of certainty. It's called epistemic certainty. There's a difference between metaphysical certainty and epistemic certainty. We are epistemically certain that the 7 are preserved in the canonical readings.
Even with that, he said there's a certain level of certainty. And now he's saying that, so it's like it did like this progression, this evolution within like the matter of like 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Reasonable to assume. Okay, levels of certainty, which I guess you could say falls in similar categories, but then
wait. Well, I mean,
okay, yeah, go ahead. You
and
parse
levels
it out,
of certainty. I'm like, no, come on, bro. You can't conflate plausible and certain in the same.
That's true. Yeah. So there are levels, and then there's certain. Okay, all right. Anyway, so he's epistemically certain. which is different from metaphysically certain.
It's nice to know. Notice it's just like waffling again. Like, why bring that up? Why be like, there's epistemic certainty and metaphysical certainty, and you, sir, do not know the difference. You know,
Yeah.
what's the point? Why are you telling me this?
It's actually really important when you want to use technical terms to define them for people. Like as we've been doing through this stream, like even when we say ahruf, like we had to stop and like say, okay, this is why we're not translating it because of these reasons. Like you don't just like use technical terms and not define them for people. Because even if the person you're talking to, your interlocutor, even if they understand what you're saying, that's not going to guarantee that your larger audience who have mixed backgrounds, mixed areas of expertise, like they might specialize in something and not in something else. So they might not be familiar with all these terms, and you just throw them out there because, you know, maybe you think it makes you look good or something like that. But if you don't break down your terms to people and you don't actually explain what you're trying to say, then, you know, maybe there's a couple people who are going to be like, oh, you cooked because you used some big words. But people who really want to know what you're saying and then they evaluate what you're saying aren't going to be able to do so if you don't define what you mean, because he might actually not mean the actual definition of epistemic certainty. Like we don't know what he thinks that means, right? Like when you and I hear it, we're thinking certainty. That's what we think, certainty, right? Like how you can know that you know something is certain, or how you know you have a certainty. But he might not mean that when he uses the term. So it is really important to define terms.
I'm fairly certainty that he is using it in the proper way.
Yeah. Improper way, you say?
No, I said I'm pretty certainty that he is using
it. Yeah. We need the sheikh to correct him on that one. All right.
Okay, so before you said the word assume, and it sounds to me that that's like one big trust me, bro. That the seven. And let me explain why. The hadith does teach that the Quran was revealed in Sab'a Ahruf. And then Muhammad said to recite of it in whichever way is easier for you. Now, there is dispute about what the 7 Ahruf are, dialects, modes of recitation, etc., etc., etc. I can't see how you can prove that the 7 Ahruf are contained within the 10 Qira'at.
I just told you.
But you said you assume.
Yeah.
Now this is. Let me land, please.
Yeah, man, I told you that I assume it. So, I told you.
I mean,
some certainty.
I don't
understand
how does this guy look him in the face and say, "I told you"? He literally told you nothing.
Yeah.
He just went on to talk about certainty and metaphysical and all these big words to basically say nothing. And yet he has the balls to say, "Yeah, trust me, I told you."
Dude,
man, it's gaslighting in like real time.
Oh boy.
Because I need to keep the thoughts in my head. This is meant to be the word of Allah.
Yeah.
This is something that he revealed to Muhammad, and then Muhammad shared it with the companions and so on and so forth. How can there be any assumption? No, but this is important. How can there be any assumption about whether it is within the 10 Qira'at or not?
This is why I told you you're confused. Okay. Because any historical event must be evaluated with a set of pre-assumptions based on the relevant data.
Okay.
Do you assume the sun will rise tomorrow?
Yes.
What?
Do you know? Are you metaphysically certain it will rise?
I can't be 100% certain.
Okay, so you assume the sun will rise.
Based on.
Is that a big trust me, bro?
Whoa. He's not using that argument.
Oh, no, that's not even an argument. He's basically saying that you can't prove anything definitively, therefore everything is just like poorly founded assumptions. No, that's not true at all. We can know some things are more likely than not based on things like reason and experience. But he can't give you either reason or experience to back up the idea that the Aruf has magically teleported into different Qira'at. He can't do that. And that's why and the fact that he's trying to lecture Timothy on this is insane.
Yeah, I'm really curious where he's going to go with this, because if you're going to use, because this is like, you know, that's a classic example. Like, okay, yeah, your whole life you saw the sunrise, and like, you know, it's just using induction, like, you know, using your past experiences to kind of like predict or have some sort of assurance that it's going to continue in that way. Like, you know, your car starts up every morning when you turn it on. It's like, most likely it's going to start up. I mean, there might be a problem with it. You don't know, but most likely. And that's just like induction. We all use it in our lives, in real lives, like that. We don't think about it as induction, but that's what we're doing. Like, okay, I open up the door and I assume my legs are going to work when I walk or something. Like, but how is he using that? How is he using that for the 7 ahruf?
No, I have no idea. Like, he doesn't even have a claim to work off. Like, it's not like he can go back and be like, oh, well, the companions said it and I trust the companions. The companions don't even tell you the ahruf magically metamorphosizes into the qira'at.
Right.
There's nothing there. They tell them that in their own tradition. It's just what their later scholars came to the conclusion of. Literally, it's no evidence. It's a zero-based. It's not even the main Islamic position, like you point out. He's holding to a hardline view that is irrational and without any evidence. It is literally just, wouldn't it be cool if that ahruf that is mentioned in the hadith made its way into the qira'at?
Yeah,
that's literally all he's working with, and yet he's comparing that to knowing that the sun will rise tomorrow.
Right. Exactly. You're talking about a one-time. You can't use induction. Well, he's using
induction of what?
A one-time. Yeah, exactly. It's a one-time historical event that it's like it hasn't been repeated. Like you said, there's no like reasonable like assumption you can really make based off a one-time event.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just a hypothetical that doesn't go back to the companions. So.
What is he? I have no. I think right now he realizes he's stuck, so he's trying to just go to something, and he's like, oh, I know, I'll just argue about induction, but this is not an induct. Like, I want to know what the inductive argument is. Like, what is the argument? Is like I can theorize like something, but I hope he develops it himself.
To be honest with you, I've already clocked on that this guy. He's doing rhetoric. This is 100%.
This is 100% rhetoric.
This is
100%.
This is no attempt to give a response. This is just, how do I get out of this while looking good? So
right,
it's basically,
exactly.
I know, I'll just lecture him on some random thing that isn't really connected.
Yeah. If you can have certainty that the sun will rise tomorrow, then I can have that same level of certainty that the 7 ahruf are preserved in the 10 qira'at. Like, dude, where's the leap? Like, I'm not getting the leap, like, this to this.
Exactly. It's basically saying, look, if I can be certain that the sun will rise tomorrow, then I can definitely be sure that some mysterious texts or recitations that we don't know what they are have magically made their way hundreds of years later into a later canonical 9th, 10th century, 15th century set of 10 readings. They're there somewhere. We don't know what they are. We don't know what they look like. We can't identify them, but they're there. That is reasonable.
Dude.
That's his position.
Yeah. That is crazy. I really want to see him develop it. I don't think he does. I think he's just going to keep using rhetoric. But let's see how this goes. This is getting very I don't know the word to describe this actually, but it's getting something.
Yes.
Do you know? Are you metaphysically certain it will rise?
I can't be 100% certain.
Okay, so you assume the sun will rise.
Based on.
Is that a big trust me, bro?
Well, it's based on evidence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's not a big trust me, bro.
So yeah, but I'm asking you for your evidence.
Right. So the relevant data shows that the sun will probably rise tomorrow. We can assume that.
Based on it happening multiple
Based on
times.
the relevant data.
Okay, so where's your relevant data for this?
The relevant data is there's hundreds of massively attested chains through which the Quran is transmitted going back to the Prophet. If the Prophet taught, because you're doing an internal critique, internally it is already pre-assumed.
Okay, hold on a second, because I'll let him continue. I don't want people to lose what you're saying here. But he's switching it from. So guys, there's two different things going on here. One is the existence of the ahruf today. Is there one? Is there many? Is there 7 that are all in existence today in the 10 readings that we have? Which, to even make it a little more complicated, there's like 10 readings, but there's 2 transmitters for each reading. So on paper, you could say, if like in book form, there's like 20 books, let's say, the 20 books that you could say, like, you know, all of them that you could say is like are the Quran or part of the Quran or are fully the Quran, however Muslims want to parse that out. There's that. And so the question is, what's the relationship between the 1 harf or the many ahruf or 7 ahruf to those 20 Qurans that exist today? What's the relationship between those two? And so what he's trying to establish right here is, for these 20 readings that we have today, that there are chains that go back to Muhammad, which, by the way, there's not. These are made up, and it's really easy to prove that these are have written in errors. But let's just put that aside for right now. He's trying to establish that these chains go back to Muhammad. But what does that say about the ahruf? That says nothing about the ahruf. because there are scholars who believe that that 6 of the 7 ahruf have been destroyed or abrogated, and there's only 1 harf in existence, but yet they still believe that all of these canonical readings that Muslims have today are going back to 1 harf, not 7. So even if you were to prove that all of the readings we have today go back to Muhammad, and we can have certainty about that, that says nothing about the ahruf. So this is another like slide of hands. So, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, saying maybe 1 ahruf or 1 half survived, I think that's a lot more reasonable than saying all 7. He's taking one position that is just really silly, and he obviously hasn't thought about it very much because he doesn't have much of a response to defend it. To be honest with you, I get the impression that he was told that he has to believe this, and now he just keeps propagating it. And now he's going back to, oh, but we have all these chains. And it's like, well, I mean, you have chains for other qira'ats, so that's a problem.
Yeah.
And not only that, but a lot of these chains, they're not tawatur, as we mentioned on last stream. They're definitely not mass transmitted at all. So, yeah, it's just a terrible argument.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so there's that, and well, I'll just go back a little bit. I want to just let him go because I interrupted him. So I want to just go like without interruption because I want to hear how he makes this connection now. So you have reasonable, experiences in the past to assume that the sun's going to rise tomorrow. Therefore, I have that same level of certainty that the 7 ahruf exists today.
Totally, bro.
Okay, let's see. All right.
Which the Quran is transmitted going back to the Prophet. If the Prophet taught, because you're doing an internal critique, internally, it is already pre-assumed that the Prophet taught all 7 ahruf.
Yeah.
Okay? And if already pre-assumed...
I'm sorry, I said that I wasn't going to do it, but that's not true either.
I know. This is something that I've noticed Libyano, Dean, and others do. And he's and the leafy guy that follows Dean.
Yeah.
They unfortunately they've taken a point that Christians have made, which is to point out that like we're doing an internal critique or an internal investigation into your sources, and they've taken that and they've reinterpreted it to mean, well, that means you have to concede certain things just because we say so.
Yeah, right.
And that's not true at all.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I would actually suggest to Christians that you don't use this expression because Muslims think that they can just shut their brain off to like anything that's not in their tradition. So it's like, the ahruf, they were totally there and real. It's like, yeah, but there's no evidence. We can't find any historic evidence of this. But it's an internal critique, so we don't need external evidence.
Right.
It's like that kind of level of thinking.
You guys are doing an internal critique, but internally in Islam, we believe that the Quran is from God. So you have to believe the Quran is from God because that's what we believe internally. And you're trying to critique us, but you have to go by our they have no idea what these.
Yeah. Believe it or not, that they actually believe this. Like, it gives Muslims comfort to think, well, it's an internal critique, so they have to believe that Allah is God.
Right. Exactly.
Like, it's like, well, sorry, how on earth did you get that?
Yeah, but even so, even if we just take what he's trying to say, which is that if you are trying to critique our system, at least you have to, within our understanding, this is what Muhammad is doing with the seven modes. But that's not true. You can have a position that, like within Islam, and you don't believe that Muhammad taught each mode. There's something called like the synonym model or like the permission model, where Muhammad would have granted permission for them to use synonyms for instead, but he didn't like teach it word for word, but he's like, like he would allow them to use like synonyms or different ways of saying it, and this is based on the hadith where Muhammad says, as long as you don't have something that has mercy contradict something with like torment or punishment. So as long as there's not like a contradiction in meaning, you're allowed to kind of use synonyms. And I'm not saying that that's like what ahruf means, but I'm saying that's one model that Muslim scholars have held to or do hold to. So even if you accept that you have to use an Islamic kind of framework to understand what the ahruf are, you're not going to necessarily walk away with thinking that Muhammad taught every single of the 7 modes, which is what he's assuming. and that is like, you just, when it comes to probability and things like that, there's no way of knowing, because Muhammad never even clarified what does seven modes even mean. There's no way of knowing, neither the companions. So
yeah, terrible, man.
Assume that the Prophet taught all 7 ahruf because you're doing an internal critique, then we can assume that all 7 ahruf were made or were transmitted via the multiple massively independent chains of transmission.
Okay.
It's that simple.
Why?
So the relevant data shows that everything the Prophet taught was transmitted in these chains of narrations.
Okay.
Why would you assume that though? What about abrogation? Like, what about abrogation, for example?
Yeah.
That goes back to the argument I was making earlier, which is like, you have abrogation. So Muhammad taught something, he would have recited it as the Quran, but people in, like, let's say the next generation would have no idea that that's the Quran because it's been abrogated. So I don't know why he assumes that this is necessarily the case.
True.
Because all of them go back to the Prophet.
Okay, so if it all goes back to the Prophet, and that would mean that within the 10 qira'at, there shouldn't be any contradictions.
There shouldn't be, no.
There shouldn't be one contradiction.
There are
so
no
if there is a contradiction within the 10 qira'at, and that would prove that the 10 qira'at can't contain the full.
It wouldn't prove it.
It wouldn't.
It wouldn't, because now there's a different category.
Did he just go back on himself? I'm sorry. Either I wasn't paying attention, but I swear he was like, there are no contradictions. There are no contradictions. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, actually, there could be. Wait, what?
Yeah, if I heard Timothy correctly, he was saying, okay, so between the ahruf, there's no contradictions. And he's saying, like, yes, there's no contradiction between the ahruf. So he's saying, okay, so if you're saying that the ahruf are all contained in the readings that we have today, then it should follow that there's no contradiction between the readings we have today. And he's like, no, that doesn't follow. So he's saying on one hand, like 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's
like, so if the qira'at make up all of the ahruf, and the qira'at are like, I wonder if he, like, are there things in these readings that are extra from, is there ahruf plus extra things, or is it only like ahruf material? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, what exactly are the readings consisting of? Because if he's saying, okay, ahruf, no contradictions, but within the readings that we have today, there can be contradictions. Like, he's actually granting that there can be contradictions. Let's hear it again.
There shouldn't be any contradictions.
These chains of narrations, because all of them go back to the Prophet.
Okay, so if it all goes back to the Prophet, and that would mean that within the 10 qira'at, there shouldn't be any contradictions.
There shouldn't be, no.
There shouldn't be one contradiction.
There are
so
no
if there is a contradiction within the 10 qira'at, and that would prove that the 10 qira'at can't contain the full.
It wouldn't prove it.
What?
It wouldn't.
Yeah, you see what I mean? See what I mean? Like, he's basically saying, because they all go to Muhammad, they can't contradict. There will be no contradictions in them. And then he's saying, well, actually, even if there were contradictions with them, that would still be fine.
What?
So I'm pretty sure he's just going back on himself, like a few seconds later.
Okay, that's getting
really
crazy, man.
Yeah.
How do Muslims look up to this guy? This is actually insane.
But this is a different category. You're not asking whether it's preserved anymore. You're asking is, what is preserved? Is it theologically coherent, or is it theologically contradictory?
No, it's still
No, because I'll let Timothy answer, but I'm pretty sure what Timothy's asking is that if in the ahruf there's no contradictions, and then in the qira'at there are contradictions, well, then this doesn't equal this. They're not the same, because this one has contradictions, this no contradictions. Like, in the words of Mufti Abu Layth. This body part, this no body part. Yeah, so like this, so. And then he's like now he's like changing it again. Like he's I mean, if you are not able to sort of like control the conversation, then that's what these Dawa guys do. They'll just like continue changing the topic over and over and over and over again. So Timothy's staying on his main point, but if he were to go off on any one of these tangents that Libyano was bringing up, then it would just go all over the place. So when you guys are talking to Muslims, just be aware that this is one of their tactics.
Also, he's trying to like do this thing where he pretends to have noticed that you're talking about a different category, when in reality it all collapses into the same point Timothy's making. So it's like, oh, you were talking about preservation, but now you're talking about like theological consistency and whether these positions make any sense. And it's like, well, if you follow the logic and there's contradictions of these things, then according to you, they cannot have been preserved because if they're preserved, they won't have contradictions. So it all boils down to the same point. But he's trying to make these false distinctions. So it's A, he seems like he's being clever, and B, it's a distraction, right? It kind of lures Timothy into fighting something he doesn't need to fight.
I think, didn't Jake already give him an F? I thought he's already F tier.
Yeah, I don't think Jake's going to be happy with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me finish. If you go to the point where if this qira'ah contradicts the other, okay, now you're arguing against the Quran theologically. You are no longer arguing against preservation.
But that
you have
is
conceded preservation.
Wait, hold on a second.
Dude, how is he not? Okay, I think Timothy's about to explain it, but let's see.
His claim about the perfect preservation of the Quran is based on Surah 15, verse 9. So Allah pledged upon himself to preserve the Quran.
Yes.
That would include all 7 ahruf.
Yes.
If you say that the 7 ahruf are contained within the 10 qira'at.
Well, the fact that he just said yes to that.
That's actually really significant.
Yeah, that's bad.
By the way, I'm pretty sure, like, confirming the 7 ahruf is still around is a minority position.
It is. Yeah, it is. But that's the thing. That's the thing.
Oh,
Him
dear.
and I heard other TikTok Muslims saying the same thing when this comes up, because like I said, this is like it's becoming popular again, this argument. And there actually are Muslims who are saying that all 7 ahruf exist today. And so this is and they're saying it's the majority opinion of the scholars. And they're using his reasoning that they are like, this is why this argument is so devastating to Muslims, because when you start, counting the Quran and whatever, like, and in like the classical or classical or relative identity, or or other counting methods, there there's problems with if you say that, okay, all 7 ahruf make up the Quran. Okay, let's say you take that position. All 7 ahruf make up the one Quran. Okay, so if you have harf number 1, number 2, number 3, and you add like, let's say, okay, this is only like part of the Quran. These are like parts, but you're not quite at the full Quran yet. But if you're saying that you need I didn't say that correctly. So if you take the position that each one is equal to the Quran, like harf number 1, harf number 2, harf number 3, that these are all the Quran, and you put them on the table, all 7 on the table, and you say, okay, this is like all one Quran, and you take one away, is this still all one Quran? You take another one away, is it still all one Quran? And however Muslims want to answer that, they can give their takes on how to answer that. But if you take the position that all of them collectively equals the one Quran, and then you are under the understanding that the one Quran, needs to have all 7 ahruf for it to be preserved, and you find out that that's not the position of the scholars, that all 7 aren't preserved, well, then you don't have the one Quran on earth anymore. You have the
1/7 of it.
Yeah, you have like a 7th of the Quran, or like you have like an unidentified or identified number, like unspecified number. So you don't know how much of the Quran you actually have today. So you can't actually say you have the full Quran. So yeah, for all of our TikTok people, this is kind of what we want to communicate to you guys. When Muslims say that there's, why don't we just we'll listen to this a little bit more, then I'll kind of give the evidence for this, because this is really important. Because depending on what Muslims say in terms of what makes up the one Quran, or what is the one Quran, it's going to really be devastating to their position if they say what Libyano is saying right now. Because he actually just took the position that if Allah doesn't preserve all 7 ahruf, then the Quran's not preserved.
Yeah,
that's what he just said.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
And the thing,
right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go on.
I'm just gonna say, like, he's telling people, there were like Muslim, like teenagers or whatever, or young adults watching him who genuinely now
mostly
think
teenagers,
mostly teenagers who now genuinely think that's the mainline position.
Yeah.
And they're not realizing that they're actually spouting a minority position with so much confidence that they're going to end up saying that the Quran has been lost, like in many ways, like a large portions of the Quran have been lost. But that's what he's doing. Kind of glad that this is their representative. I think we're in a good position here.
Do you want to see? Let's see, how can I show this on the screen here? Do you want to see how seriously these Muslims take Libyano, take the Orthodox Muslim? Like, I want to show you something. I'm gonna show you something. Watch this. Okay. Gonna take a little detour. Watch how seriously this guy is taken from the Muslims. Okay, watch this.
You use your conclusion as one of your premises to assert your conclusion, which is a big fat donut circle.
You are using your premise, one of your premises, as a conclusion to support your premise. That's a big fat circle fallacy. That's a big fat circle.
Oh wow.
You use your conclusion as one of your premises to assert your conclusion, which is a big fat donut circle.
You are using your premise, one of your premises, as a conclusion to support your premise. That's a big fat circle fallacy. That's a big fat circle donut.
Wait, what? He actually does use the term donut as well. What a... Oh, what a tool.
That's how seriously Muslims are taking this guy.
Literally
like
verbatim copying him.
Yeah, we talk about the Dawa script. Now they're making a Dawa script off of what Libyano says. This guy has become the standard for the Dawa script. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Let's do it one more time.
You can see David Wood is just not impressed by it. You know,
yeah.
You use your conclusion as one of your premises to assert your conclusion, which is a big fat donut circle.
You are using your premise, one of your premises, as a conclusion to support your premise. That's a big fat circle fallacy. That's a big fat circle donut.
it's like he's actually trying to recite him, but then like kind of gets confused, but then remembers and then just throws the word donut in at the end anyway. Oh,
dude.
It's a big fat circle donut. What don't you understand about this, Jai?
Come on, man.
It's a big fat circle donut.
So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with bots that are just copying this guy. So this guy says that all of the 7 ahruf exist today, and he's actually that the Quran's preservation is contingent upon all 7 existing. And like I said, this is apparently what this is what I hear. Muslims are saying this now on TikTok, that this is the majority position of the scholars. This is the majority position of the scholars, that all 7 exist. I'm thinking, where do these guys get their theology? Like, where do they get their understanding from? They literally just get it from Libyano. Like, he's the one that they go to, because they're definitely not reading their own sources. This is any introductory book on just the Islamic sciences. Like Yasser Qadhi, for example, he's got an introductory book on the Islamic sciences. He's got a whole section on like ahruf, qira'at, relationship between the two. And this is when he was like a Salafi Muslim. So this is when he was like, you could say pure, straight up Orthodox Muslim. And, whatever views he's taken afterwards, that's later on. But while he was a Salafi Orthodox Muslim, this was, this is like his book on the sciences of Islam. He walks you through, these are all the positions that you can take, and here's the majority position. And here's the one with the most evidence, and here's the one that makes most sense. Here's their reasoning. Here's their reasoning. Here's why they're flawed here. Here's why they like. And obviously, he thinks that there's a big problem there because it's the most confusing topic in Islamic sciences. But at least just read a work, like read something on this. Like, don't just take Libyano's word, because this. I mean, I don't mind if you take his word, because this is a really easy argument to dismantle. And once you can prove, like, it's so easy to prove that the 7 ahruf don't exist today, like in its entirety, from the Islamic sources and from the Islamic scholarship in terms of what their majority position actually is and what it's not. It's so easy to prove that if your Islam is contingent on this, and this is what your understanding of Islam is, your Islam is going to disappear easy. And we want that, but we want to also, we don't want to like straw man, and we don't want to like, give, like, we want to give the best position you have, and we'll still show you how that doesn't work and why Islam fails. Like, but you can take his position, and we can show you that as well. But it's just much easier, much easier to defeat this position. All right.
It's 9. Yeah. Allah pledged upon himself to preserve the Quran.
Yes.
That would include all 7 ahruf.
Yes.
If you say that the 7 ahruf are contained within the 10 qira'at, right, and you say that we should assume this based on it having mutawatir, according to what some Muslim scholars may say, right, then the logical thing to do would be to look at the qira'at and compare them to each other.
Yeah.
If the qira'at contradict one another, then first and foremost, how can this be evidence of preservation?
Okay.
Does Allah give?
Can contradictions be preserved?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Right.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, absolutely brilliant. So, according to
great.
Libyano, the Quran was revealed in 7 contradictory ways intentionally, and they've all been preserved. Alhamdulillah.
Wow.
That's
So the contradictions are preserved, guys. That's amazing.
The contradictions are preserved. It's a big fat circle donut.
So thank you. So contradictions don't prove that it's not preserved. Contradictions prove there's a theological issue, not an issue of preservation.
Okay, I hear what you're
You
saying.
understand?
I hear what you're saying. Contradictions can.
Sorry. Why does he think that that doesn't mean that there is an issue with preservation? If they contradict, and you, I guess he just genuinely believes that Muhammad just contradicted himself all over the place intentionally.
Yeah, as long as it's not many contradictions. Like, you know, the verse says many. So
the amount of times I've brought that up to Muslims and they're just dumbfounded by it. They don't realize there's the word many there. So
perfectly preserved contradictions. A big fat donut circle or circle donut, whatever.
Well, actually, just real quick to relate this to the Islamic dilemma stuff. This is actually one of the things that Muslims do when they try and talk about conscious edits.
Yeah.
What they're actually doing is they're saying, basically, the Quran can have it can use intentional contradictions. So the Quran can affirm things, but then contradict things intentionally. So the Quran uses intentional contradictions within its own paradigm, within itself, which is something that I don't think Muslims have understood the weight of, especially since there's a verse in the Quran that says it doesn't do that. But yeah, interesting thing. Anyway, while I'm here, you should totally get this book, which is called The Islamic Dilemma. It comes out this Saturday, and I talk more about that in this book. And it's probably one of the best written, if I do say so myself, works on the Islamic dilemma to date. It's got a foreword by Dr. David Wood. I think you guys might have heard of him. He's a pretty cool guy. And you should get it on either paperback or hard copy or ebook on the 25th. That is this Saturday.
And you guys can click on the link in the description, and you guys will see how you can pre-order it for Kindle right now on Amazon. All right, let's go through some super chats real quick. Will the book be translated into a different language?
So I've already had people offering their services to me to do so. And thank you for those who have offered. It's too early to tell at the moment. I mean, everything looks really, really well in terms of sales, which is great. It seems to be in like the number one category for a lot of different categories. But I don't know as of yet if I'm going to do that. I think once the book has sort of gotten out there and been field tested, then, you know, if people are telling me, hey, it's working great in America, it's working great in the UK, then I can start thinking about translating it into other languages.
Awesome. Good. We got a member for 2 months. Thank you so much, Phil, for that. This is their best. Yeah, that's their best.
He is
their best, guys. That's crazy. That's really sad. I mean, the Islamic apologetic, like I was listening to, did you see Sneeko interviewed Zakir Naik?
I saw part of it.
So
what was it that made me laugh?
Was it the fact he's got all these like supercars, or which one was it?
Oh yeah, he was bragging about his wealth or something like that. Man.
Yeah, he said he made like $17 million in like 4 months or something like that. Like, oh, Dawa, man, Dawa's this guy's. But anyway,
this is their main way of giving Dawa.
Yeah,
it's the young men become a Muslim and get a Rolls Royce.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
So you saw, like, I think I was, what was it? It was IP. It was IP and Than and Avery. They were doing a review of it last night. And I was watching it up until a point, and I was like, I just couldn't continue anymore because it got so bad. But like you could see like what, you know, old Dawa and new Dawa, and this is their best. And then you look at what their old best used to be. It's like they just never had a chance. I mean, I'll just be honest. I mean, they just never had a chance. And you know, obviously it's due to the fact that they don't have the truth. They don't have the truth. And we do. The Lord Jesus Christ is the truth. So they can try anything they want to. They can get any people that they want to. They can get their, you know, Rolls Royce's millionaire Dawa guys, or they can get whoever else Dawa guy. They can get their you know, doctor. They can get a guy on the street, whoever it is, Dawa guy. They have no chance against the truth. So,
amen.
All right. 7 combos with 7 options. Same results.
Dying in sin.
Yeah. That's correct. no matter which option you take. It's
I always think it would be hilarious if we as Christians had the same theological view. So
Yeah.
basically, like, Jesus came with the good news, with the gospel, in 7 different ways.
Yeah.
And then we were like, I don't know, like trying to like sort of justify like variant copies by saying that actually they somehow go back because he said both of these things. I don't know. I thought that it's such a strange position that Muslims are in right now.
Yeah. Oh boy. Pray for Muslims, guys. Pray for Muslims. How does this work with their belief that the Quran is the literal speech of Allah? Did Allah say the same in 7 different ways? That actually is a problem, and you do have a difference between the different schools of Muslim thought on this. So that actually does come into the conversation. Shadi Nasser talks about this a little bit, but it is relevant. That is, if Allah has, like you say, literal speech, and the Quran is his literal speech, and it's eternal literal speech, and how does this work? How do you kind of flesh that out? Yeah, it's a problem, and in different ways, I guess. But yeah, but it really depends on your views of like, again, like if you have like Yasser Qadhi calls it like the dictation model, which is like Allah saying it in all 7 ways, like Allah, Gabriel, Muhammad saying it all 7 different ways. Or you have the permission model, which is that Muhammad, may have said it in a few different ways, or he only said it in one way, but he gave permission, in these different ways. So it does depend on that as well. Allah's greatest creation was build your own Islam, and and blessed it with the miracle of reinterpretation. Yes. True. Thank you so much, Randy, for the 5 gifted memberships. Welcome, everybody, for whoever just got gifted membership. The forbidden thumbnail, the forbidden romance, is it a real picture? Did you 2 ever meet? Yeah, people have been talking about the thumbnail. Yeah, guys, that's a real picture of me and Chris. I mean, there's slight modification to it because obviously I had to crop the background and I made another edit on it. But it's a real picture of us. We met. We used to live in the same place for a couple of years, so same country. All right. So yes, 10 gifted memberships. Thank you so much again, Randy. Appreciate that. Welcome, everybody. Hey guys, what are your thoughts on John Pork's recent conversion to Islam? You know anything about that?
I don't actually. I don't know who John Pork is. No, I'm Googling.
Is that like a troll? Is that like because I'm pretty sure.
Well, I just Googled it.
It's yeah, okay. Yeah.
Who murdered John Pork? Wait, what? I don't know. This is weird. Whatever this is.
It's like a meme. Yeah. So someone's like they got us. Yeah. I thought I've heard it. I've heard it on. I've seen it on like TikTok or something like that. Like people like they ask about like, do you know John Pork, and like they're like their parent will be like, oh yeah, I think I know him or something like that. But it's just a meme. It's just a meme. So I guess John Pork recent conversion to Islam. Yeah, nice one. Thank you so much, Randy. Whoa, 5 more gifted members. Thank you so much for that. God bless you. And the Quran is generally preserved perfectly. That's going to be the new position. Yeah, that's going to be the new position after a while. Give them some time, and then they're going to say it's been generally preserved. Generally preserved word for word.
Well, I mean, I do generally do. Oh my gosh, now even I'm saying it. I do think that Muslims will basically just copy the Christian view.
Yeah.
Eventually, they won't have any choice but to basically be aligned with us in terms of how we approach it. If they wanted to be intellectually honest, but I guess maybe some Muslims will still say it's been perfectly preserved, including the 7 ahruf, even though I don't know what they are.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. So let's go back to the debate here, and then we do have some slides that we want to share, guys. Probably we'll give them a couple more minutes and see how this goes. See where it's a good part to end it at, and then we'll go to some slides and then wrap up the stream.
Be preserved. But the point of me bringing this argumentation is to say this, and I'll slightly repeat myself again. just because I want to make it clear. If Allah has pledged upon himself to preserve the Quran, if this is the speech of Allah, this is the word of Allah, and you don't believe that Allah can contradict himself, then if you say that the 7 ahruf are contained
You're
within...
arguing another argument now. You're saying...
It's within preservation.
No, it's not.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. I don't accept that the 7 ahruf are contained within the 10 qira'at for one reason. I'll give you one reason. Because there's no consensus on what the 7 ahruf is.
Did I say there's consensus?
You said it's merged.
Did I say there's consensus?
No, I'm making my point.
Okay, so if
you said it's merged.
If there's no consensus, then it follows that the 7 ahruf are not included?
To some degree, yes, and let me explain why. Let me explain why.
Well, you kind of need to know what they mean.
Days.
You kind of need to know what ahruf means in order to say they're preserved or not.
Okay, so there's a few things to say here, but like one is that he's confusing. So if I make a positive claim for something, like I say there's 10 mysterious elephant-like creatures that are kind of like elephants, but not really. There's something else. I can't tell you what they are exactly, but they're there in your room right now. And then you said to me, yeah, but Chris, what's your evidence for that? And I said, I don't have any, but do you have any evidence that they're not there? Now, it's kind of like a wrong framing of it, because if you wanted to be generous, you'd have to say, look, we have to be agnostic about it because you can't give any evidence for your view, and you can't even define what it is these things even are, so we can't even have a meaningful conversation about them. But he's trying to get around and being like, no, you need to actually give me evidence that they're not there. And that's just mind-boggling, because you can reject someone's claim without having to prove the opposite, right? You could just say, I don't accept your positive claim because there's no evidence. I don't even need to prove the negative. I have good evidence to reject your positive claim. So I leave it at agnosticism. I just say, we can't know because you don't even know what they are, but I am very confident that it's definitely not the case that they are there. But, he's confusing terms and doing so intentionally.
Yeah. And, and also him merely just saying you're shifting arguments, you're changing arguments also is not a response to let the audience judge whether or not, like I say, I think he's changing arguments. Unless if you can prove it, then, you can
Well, did you see what else he did? He did another thing as well. He said, did I say that?
Right,
Which is another way of like throwing people off
and
getting people to stop thinking like in their like coherent thoughts. They're presenting a position, an argument, and to get you to think about something else.
Exactly.
Like all this is like textbook stuff, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Let's continue on here.
The inference rule for that.
Let me
the inference rule. Wait, hold on a second.
Oh gosh.
What's
Give
the
me
inference
the
rule for
inference.
that?
Yeah.
Follows that the 7 ahruf are not included?
To some degree, yes, and let me explain why.
Okay.
Let me explain why.
What's the inference rule for that?
Let me explain why. Let me explain why.
You're just making things up.
No, I'm not just making things up.
He's the one making things up, not Libyano. Okay. All right.
You're making things up to say that the 7 ahruf are contained within the 10 qira'at.
You can't argue against it though.
Well, you can.
All right, go ahead.
We can talk about Uthman's compilation.
Yeah, what about Uthman's compilation?
When he compiled the Quran, right? It was in Sahih Al-Bukhari, hadith number 4987. It talks about this, not compilation, sorry, the standardization of the Quran.
Yeah.
He used the Quran that was passed down from Abu Bakr to Hafsa.
That's not the only thing he used.
Or what did he use then?
Wait. Just pause that there a second. Did Timothy say it was the only thing he used?
Right, exactly.
You could play this. You see how he just jumped at that?
Yeah.
Even though he never said he only used this, he just said he used this, which is true. He did. So, like, he's throwing stumbling blocks up to the argument because he has no response to what's coming.
Exactly. I think it's probably a good spot to end that now, and we'll just go to some slides and wherever we go from there. But this is pretty bad stuff. So I just kind of threw some slides together. I mean, we want to go through them all right now. They might not all be relevant to it. Just kind of past kind of information that we have on this topic, and let's see, and we can just see what's relevant for today. So we don't really need this. This is not really this right now. Let's see what. Let me actually. I don't know if the audio work. Can you let me know if the audio plays?
No.
Okay. All right. So just real quick, let me refresh it. All right. Play audio. There we go.
People find so.
Okay. All right. So yeah, this is the meme. Okay. I'll just start with this one here. Start with Yasser Qadi right here.
Every single student of knowledge knows, who studies Ulum al-Quran, that the most difficult topics are ahruf and qira'at, and the concept of ahruf and the reality of ahruf, and the relationship of the Uthmanic Mus'haf with the ahruf, and the preservation of the ahruf. Is it 1? Is it 3? Is it 7? And the relationship of the qira'at to the ahruf. This is a topic that when you're the beginning student of knowledge, you're like, what is all of this going on here? When you go a little bit more, you learn to simply memorize what your teachers say and regurgitate it out, and you don't fully comprehend. When you do a deep dive is when things get very, very awkward and difficult. And this isn't new. This is from the time of the Sahaba. In the Sahih or the Hasan Hadith of Ubay bin Ka'b, the Hadith of the Ahruf, that when the Prophet mentioned the issue of Ahruf, and that
don't forget about
this is
what
in the
percentage
version
of
of
Christians
Muslim
believe in
Ahmad. Ubay bin Ka'b says, authentic Hadith, فَدَخَلَ فِي نَفْسِي شَكٍّ. In my heart, a doubt came that I hadn't had about Islam since the days of Jahiliyyah. This is not a joke, brothers and sisters. The issue of ahruf and qira'at caused confusion to somebody whom the Prophet said, if you want to listen to the Quran directly, listen to Ubay. Ubay is not some even average Sahabi. He is the Qari of the Quran. He is the master. He is who he is. And he goes, فَدَخَلْ فِي نَفْسِي شَكٍّ. What is all of this stuff?
Okay.
Wow.
So really good introduction to the topic, and I kind of made some I think one way to learn the topic is through like visual cues, and actually let me just see if I can zoom in a little bit. I know I got us both on the screen here. Okay, so yeah, sometimes it's easier to learn things like visually. So if you look at the Quran, and then all of the 7 ahruf. So this is the hadith. The Quran was revealed. Typo here.
I thought it was just Old English.
Yeah.
Revealeth.
And then this right here. What happened here? The Quran was
revealeth Quran.
All right. There we go. So yeah. So here it is. There's the 7 ahruf, kind of like a visual kind of representation. And then I have like some hadith that talk about the ahruf, but in not 7. So there's also the one that it's authentic, a sahih, but it says 3 ahruf, that the Quran was revealed in 3 ahruf. Okay. And then you have this one, which says that it was revealed in 10. Now this one is weak. It's da'if, but interesting that it says the Quran was revealed in 10, and it gives you the categories of the 10. So there's good news, there's warning, there's abrogation, there's the abrogating and the abrogated, exhortation, parable, like a parable, parable devices, decisive and ambiguous, and then lawful and unlawful. So it's weak, but just want to kind of give you the overall kind of corpus of ahruf in the Islamic literature. So there's actually Shadi Nasser, let me actually just do this real quick. There's 13 variations of the 7 ahruf hadith prior to Al-Bukhari. So prior to Al-Bukhari, there's 13 variations of the 7 ahruf hadith. So there's the one that says that there's 3. There's the one that says that there's 10, which is weak. And then there's 13 prior to Al-Bukhari that talk about the 7 ahruf. Now, I'm not going to go through them all, but he lists them in his first book, and he goes over the different narrations. Like here's the famous one with Omar and Hisham. This is the famous one. And then you have like variants of that. And then you have the one with Ubay and variants of that. Doubts has never entered my heart, and like this, until I read a verse differently from how another man has read it. This is what Yasser Qadi was talking about. And then some of them say that just Jabril came. This one says Jabril and Michael came and recited the 7 ahruf to Muhammad. And so and then there's variations of that as well. Then you have you just multiple just variations of this one same story, and kind of like gives you an idea for like how this story was circulating before Al-Bukhari. These are all prior to Al-Bukhari. Then once we get to Al-Bukhari, you get the standard the story in there as well. But these are like the ones that are prior that Shali Nasser notes. So the first question is what ahruf even means, and contrary to what Libyano said, there actually is a consensus, but the consensus is I don't know. So I have no idea. No idea. I don't know. And so you have a book here, Variant Readings of the Quran, and this is just a quote from this book here. This early difference of opinion produced many sayings, all of which are repeated and overlap. Ibn Hibban counted 35. Suyuti claimed that there were about 40. And etc. And then the Islam Q&A website says the scholars mentioned nearly 40 different opinions concerning this matter. So what does ahruf mean? There's 35 to 40 opinions, and then you can only say perhaps. We know. Here's a scholar, Abdulaziz Al-Qari. He says that I worked on researching this question for a long time, more than 10 years continuously. And this is from a Muslim website. I forgot to link it, but if you just look up these exact words, you'll find the website, how they word it here. If you put it in quotes, put it on Google, you'll find the website. When I compiled this originally, I forgot to link it, but it is from another website. So more than 10 years, et cetera. And then he went to the teacher of all teachers of Yasir al-Qadi, Ash-Shanqiti, and he asked him what conclusion he reached regarding the hadith of the 7 ahruf. He said, the conclusion I've reached is that I do not know what it means. So that's
10 years well used, wasn't it?
Yeah, 10 years. And then you go to the biggest scholar you can find, and he's like, I don't know,
Can you imagine his book on the topic?
Yeah.
It's like a really thick book. You open it, and it's just blank at the very end. It says, I have no idea.
Exactly. So nobody knows what ahruf means. So it's really hard to define or answer this next question, which is how many of them exist today? And
one thing as well, just to illustrate, like really make clear, is that they are not the same. They are all different in some form from each other.
They're all distinct in some form. Yeah, exactly.
They're all distinct. It's important to get that.
And in fact, if we want to read one of these stories, like like the 7, just to kind of let people see like what exactly we're talking about here. So this is a famous one with Omar and Hisham, and Hisham was reciting Surah Al-Furqan, which is chapter 25, and Omar says that he listened to his recitation, but to my surprise, he was reading in a mode different from those which the Prophet used to read before me. I was on the verge of interrupting his prayer, but I waited until he finished. And then I grabbed him from his garments and asked him, who taught you this surah in the way you just recited?
Wait, you gotta do it with the voice. You gotta be like, who taught you this surah in the way that you recited? Who taught you this?
And he answered, the Prophet did. I said, you're lying, for by God, the Prophet himself taught me to read this surah. So 2 companions here, Omar, who's senior companion, Hisham, who only converted after the conquest of Mecca. And so this is like a kind of a late. So Omar, after all this time of being a Muslim, he just finds out now that there's another way to recite the Quran or something. Well, up until this point, he doesn't actually know according to the story. But so he took him to to Muhammad, and he said, "O Messenger of God, I've heard this man reading Surah Al-Furqan in different modes, which you have not taught me before." So we don't know exactly what the difference was, but we know it was big enough difference for one companion to grab the other one by the garment, grab him by his garment. He's like, imagine, you can kind of picture this, like this guy just angrily just grabs him like kind of by the neck of whatever he's wearing and drags him over to Muhammad. So We don't know the details as to what the differences were, but we know that it was so different that one of them is like, like aggressively, violently grabbing the other one. So Muhammad says, it says the Prophet said, leave him. And then, so he's telling Omar to leave him, and he tells Hisham, okay, read. So Hisham recited the same reading. So this is Omar telling the story. He says, Hisham recited the reading that I heard a while ago, meaning the one that he heard him reciting before that was different. And then what happened? Muhammad said, the Prophet said, it was revealed as such. And then he said, Omar, read. I recited the reading that the Prophet has taught me before. The Prophet said, it was revealed as such. So it's like, this is like a very confusing thing, right? So Omar he's a Muslim for a very long time. And then Hisham, who's a new Muslim at this point, because Hisham only became a Muslim after the conquest of Mecca. So Omar hears him reciting this chapter of the Quran. He can recognize it was the chapter, but it was completely different to how he was taught it, to the point where he aggressively grabbed him and brought him to Muhammad. And Muhammad said, actually, it was revealed in both ways. And this is one of the origin stories of the 7 ahruf. The Prophet said it was revealed as such, and he continued by saying the Quran was revealed in 7 different modes, ahruf. Thus, in whichever way easier to you, whatever was made available to you, read the Quran as such. So that's one version of it. The other one with Ubay, which is the one Yasser Qali just told us about earlier, where he had all this doubt after he heard someone reciting the Quran differently. But Muhammad gives the same answer. He gives the same answer that Jibreel kept asking me to read until he reached 7 modes. And each mode is comprehensive and satisfactory/valid. Okay, so that's kind of the definition as far as we're going to get it for what ahruf is, which isn't a definition, but I mean in terms of like getting the term, this is where it derives from. And then in terms of the actual differences, we don't actually know, but it was so different that it caused doubt for Ubay, who, like Yasser Qali says, he's the qari, the qari, the reader, the master reader of the Quran. He was so confused. Doubt in Islam never entered my heart until I read a verse different from how another man has read it. So he had so much doubt.
I just remember, as Jai pointed out, who was it? Was it Umar or the other guy? Yeah. He had only become a Muslim later on in life.
Oh, yeah, Hisham. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Hisham. So now you have to explain how Muhammad just didn't mention this.
Yeah.
You would have thought this would have been pretty central to his teaching. Like, by the way, guys, I'm going to tell you this one version, but don't be surprised when you hear 6 other versions, because they're all the Quran. Yeah. But apparently, these guys didn't get the memo. Yeah, how interesting.
Yeah, and so these are all from Shah Nasser's book, his first book, The Transmission of the Variant Readings of the Quran. And this is going to be in chapter 1, and these are just the footnotes where he just goes over all the different, variants, kind of versions of the story. And so so that's where the term kind of derives from. So here's the ahruf, right? So this one is different from number 1 is different from number 2 insofar as one companion was able to at least recognize that it was the same chapter, but it was so different that it got him to become violently aggressive and grab him by his garment, like grab him by the neck or whatever, wherever he grabbed him by, like dragged him.
Which is a good way of getting rid of the argument when they say that it's just dialects. It's just different dialects.
Yeah.
Because people don't get violent when people switch dialects.
Right. And also important to know that they're both from the same tribe, right? Because
of course.
Omar and Hisham are both from the same tribe. They're both Quraysh, and this is one of the arguments that scholars will use to say that it cannot be dialect differences because of the fact that they're from the same tribe. So had they been from 2 different tribes, maybe you could theorize okay, well, they were just reciting in their tribal dialects or whatever, but they're both from Quraysh. They have the same dialect, and even Libyano admitted that it wasn't. These are not just dialectical differences; these are meaningful differences. So. Right. So yeah. So that's how different these are, guys, from each other. That companions would get doubt when they heard one or the other.
And just one quick thing as well.
Yeah.
Just for anyone who doesn't know, so you have aruf, meaning the plural, and you have half, which is how you refer to like each one, right?
Yeah, the singular. Yeah, exactly.
The singular and the plural, just so you know the terms we're using.
Exactly. So then the next question is, okay, we don't know what they mean. What does ahruf mean? It's also, then it's hard to answer the question, how many of these exist today? And so you have 3 opinions. Let me just full screen it real quick. You have 3 opinions, and I put us back up here so you guys can see. Number 1 is that Uthman burnt 6 of the 7 ahruf, and only 1 exists now. Only 1 of them exists now. Then that's one view, which was a very popular view early on amongst the Salaf and the early Muslim scholars. And the second view, which is that some exist today, but it's an undefined number. So it's not just 1, but it's also not entirely 7. And then you have a third view, which is that all 7 exist today. And their reasoning is similar to what Libyano said, which is that, you know, if the Quran is fully preserved, then you need all 7 to be preserved. So you can kind of get the reasoning behind it, but that's not the position of the majority of Muslim scholars. So it's like it becomes very problematic when you actually read what they say. So I'll just, if you guys want to screenshot the Arabic, this is the source that we're going to read from, and we're going to give the translation. There's the source, there's the text, and then we're going to go to the translation. Next slide here. Okay, yeah, you can see that. So this is Ibn Taymiyyah. Okay, and this is no small scholar, right? And I just wanted to kind of note, normally we don't translate the titles of the books because it's like they just, it's not really necessary. Like you can just leave it in Arabic or leave it transliterated, but we wanted to translate the meaning because it just kind of, just look at the title of the book.
Puts it in context.
Yeah. The drawn sword against the one who insults the messenger. So this is the sword, like, your sword is drawn and it's against one. And the chapter is, whoever insults the prophet, whether a Muslim or disbeliever, must be killed. So for whatever reason, he put the section of ahruf in this chapter. I don't know why exactly, but this is well, I guess it's important to define because ahruf is important in defining what the Quran is. But I just wanted to give you guys a kind of a feel for how the Muslim scholars will see these issues. So whoever insults the prophet, whether a Muslim or disbeliever, must be killed. Okay. So Ibn Taymiyyah said, the view considered satisfactory by the early scholars, which is the Salaf, indicated by the majority of hadiths and the recitation of the companions, like the readings of the companions, right? So this is the majority opinion based on the hadith and the readings, the variant readings, qira'ats of the companions, is that the Mus'haf, which is the codex, which Uthman gathered the people upon, is one of 7 ahruf. So this is the majority opinion of the Salaf. So the early Muslims, how people say Salafi, like you're Salafi, it means you're following the Salaf. You're following these early generation of Muslims. Their position was that only one harf, only one of the ahruf exists out of the 7. That's the majority opinion, according to Ibn Taymiyyah. And it represents the final presentation. So the final presentation is going to refer to the year that Muhammad died. He said, they say that Gabriel came to him and, recited the final presentation of the Quran. He did it twice with them. And this is supposedly it. He only gave him one of the 7 ahruf. That was it. The others got abrogated. That's this position. And that the other 6 are outside of this Mus'haf. So the 7 ahruf differed in wording, while the meaning did not differ or contradict. So this is Ibn Taymiyyah telling us what the majority opinion is amongst the Salaf. Now, just because he's saying that's a majority opinion amongst the Salaf doesn't mean it's the only opinion that exists. So now we go to, and I'll let you guys screenshot that. If you guys want the Arabic, you guys want the source, the reference here, the link, and then we'll go to the translation. Okay. So this is now Ibn al-Jazari. Ibn al-Jazari is the one that Chris and I were reading last stream. He was the one who, in the 15th century, added on 3 extra readings from Ibn Mujahid's 7. So Ibn al-Jazari, huge scholar. In fact, Yasser Qadi calls him the most prominent scholar of qira'at for the past 1,000 years. He's the most prominent one. So this is what he says. Whoever examines a statement of the early scholars, will know the reality of the matter. That is, the Uthmanic codices did not contain all of the 7 ahruf in which the recitation of the Quran was permitted. So that's the position of the early scholars. However, a group of theologians and others have said that it is not permissible for the Ummah to neglect the transmission of anything from the 7 ahruf, which is what Libyano was saying. According to them, the objection raised, and he goes on to give you the scholars who raise certain objections to this view, and it doesn't occur to them or doesn't arise, like their objection is not it's not, how do you say it, taken into consideration. Okay, for if we say that the Uthmanic Masahif, which is the codices that contain all 7 ahruf revealed by Allah, then anything that differs from the written text, the rasm, must be considered not part of the 7 ahruf. Now, this is a lot here, what he's saying. So, if the position is that all 7 ahruf exists today in the readings that we have today, if that is the case, then you have to account for the fact that you have so many different commentaries and literature on qira'at and things like that. For example, that would say Ibn Masud used to read it like this, or Aisha used to read it like this. Or you'd have to say that they weren't actually reading the Quran, because they weren't
just
reading,
fabricated or got confused. Yeah,
that's what you'd have to say. Right, so they weren't actually reading the Quran. They were, you'd have to say what Libyano was saying, which is that it's just Ibn Masud, that's just an interpretation or something like that. It's not actually, he wasn't actually reading the Quran. He was giving his own interpretation. That's what Libyano says. So that's the major objection to the view, not the least of the objections, but it's a major objection. But he says this view is prohibited. So Ibn Jazari is telling us that the view that Libyano is promoting is prohibited, because much of what differs from the written text, the Rasam, has been authentically transmitted from the companions and from the Prophet. So we know. Remember, he wanted to see Zamakhshari, he wanted to see the chain. What's the chain that Ibn Masud used to read his Quran with this extra letter in it, or this extra word in it? Because we were talking about the Birmingham manuscript. In fact, I have that slide here. So in the Birmingham Quran, there's an erasure here. There's an erasure here, and it's a conjunction, the letter waw, which means and, which was in the reading of Ibn Masud. And this is Al-Bala Fideli's book, Early Quranic Manuscripts. So this is the Birmingham manuscript. So, but we can see that's an erasure, and the fact is that when you compare it to the other the Hafs that we have today, you're not going to see this letter in it, but you do see that letter existing in Ibn Masud. So you have to explain that. Was Ibn Masud reading what he thought to be did he think he was reading the Quran? And if he thought he was reading the Quran, then is there anything that do we have certainty that that's how he read it? So you go through the chains, and Ibn al-Jazari says that there are authentically transmitted chains that go back to the companions for these readings. So now you have to either come up with a theory that they weren't actually reading the Quran when they said it was the Quran, or it's been abrogated or something like that. But if it's been abrogated, well, what were they reading? They had to have been reading something from the 7 ahruf. So the view that Ibn al-Jazari says is prohibited is the view that Libyano is actually taking. Yeah. So and actually, I have a quote from Ibn Masud as well. Also Ibn al-Jazari talks about it. Let me just give the Arabic. You guys want to screenshot it?
Where someone says the 2 presenter boxes are blocking the text. Look at off screenshots. Okay. So maybe
well, I'll go back. I'll just keep this off the screen for a little bit and let you guys like a screenshot this. So, all right. So let me go back. So here's the first reference: Arabic, English. Okay, screenshot that. Arabic, English, screenshot that. And then you're going to want this one as well. Screenshot this. And then for the people who say that Ibn Masud here, like his reading with the wow, is actually just an interpretation, and I'm pretty sure that's what Libyano said. Can you just take a second, Chris, just so I can look that up real quick? You can just talk
yeah. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit. First of all, everyone, you should totally buy the Islamic Dilemma book that comes out this Saturday. See, I think any opportunity. I hold the book in my hand, but don't worry if you can't see it. You can always go back in the stream and you'll see me holding it up there as well. But yes, I've been writing this book for the last 9 months or so, and it's finally out. It's finally done. It's like the best thing I've ever worked on, and I put my heart and soul into it. You guys can get it for, I think, $20 for the paperback, or around £15 if you happen to live in the Great British Kingdom. For the paperback version, if you want to have that next Saturday, and you pay a bit more for a hard copy, or you could get an ebook, and you could even pre-order the ebook right now if you click on the link over here somewhere. I guess over here somewhere. It should be pinned in the live chat. And actually, someone asked me a question at Jai and Chris. Would this be like the erasure of the reading of the Sana palimpsest to replacement for the Uthmanic standardization of the Quran? Yes, in the sense that the Sana palimpsest shows a different underline. So just for everyone who's listening, a palimpsest is when you have a written codex, but underneath it there's actually an original layer or a previous layer that used to exist. Like someone had written a text once, and then they had tried to erase that, and then they wrote another text on top of it. But using techniques in the 21st century, we can analyze these documents and actually see what that underlying text is that came before. And the Sana palimpsest contains a non-Uthmanic Quran, basically, or parts of the Quran. Although, actually, if I remember correctly, it's quite substantial. So this, is very similar to what's been going on here. This is the Birmingham portfolio, which is Surah 18, 19, and 20. And we're showing that there seems to be evidence of an erasure to make it conform with the Uthmanic text. When if I understand Jai rightly, if you included the wa, the and, then that would more closely align with Ibn Masud's understanding in his version.
Yeah, you can see Alba Fideli as well, what she says in the book there as well. There is a section though, I think that we did it last week. I'm just trying to see in the comments if anyone's giving me the timestamp or not. But basically, he said something to the effect that Ibn Masud was giving like his interpretation. So it was like his personal like copy of the Quran, and what he was writing down wasn't necessarily all the Quran. It would be like commentary involved as well. I just want to see him saying that.
But isn't that just like plainly wrong though? Because we know, because the people who record Ibn Masud, they say it's his reading.
Yes,
they don't say no. He was reading the normal Quran, and then he gave like a tafsir of it. He was like, "No, this is just how you would read it in prayer, presumably."
Exactly, and I know he said like there needs to be like authentically attributed chains to them or something like that. But as we saw from Ibn Jazari, that there are authentically transmitted chains, so that's already refuted. But I just want to find, because I'm certain he said this. I just wish I could find the exact timestamp here. But he did say that it was meant to be an interpretation and didn't intend it as the Quran or something like that.
So I remember that he just denied that it authentically went back to Ibn Masud. I was thinking that was
Okay. Okay, maybe it's this part here instead of so 39. Let's see, 3950. Okay, so let's just pull this up real quick and we'll just like see it together. If this is the section, then great. If not, then we'll we'll just continue on.
We can see that Ibn Masud disagrees with the standardization of the Quran under Uthman.
Yeah.
Uthman later on says after the copies have been made, to burn the other Quranic fragments and whole copies of the Quran.
How does that refute the mass attestation?
It does, because you're talking about the 7 ahruf.
So 1 second.
Wait.
Hold on,
No. I'm making my point. I'm making my point. No. You asked me a question, and I said it
I'm
does.
literally talking to a mental health patient right now, bro.
Wow.
Can we talk back and
Wow.
forth? You
Look
keep
at
going
that.
on forever, man.
Wow.
I want to speak.
This is the guy you wanted me to talk to?
Yes. Brother, you just keep going.
Okay, so I'm assuming that's not the part, but
And on and on and on and on. You don't let anybody talk.
No, talk.
Remember, the argument is the Quran is not preserved. I told you that's not the case. It's not the case because the Quran is massively transmitted. What is your refutation to the mass transmission of the Quran?
Well, this is my refutation.
Yes.
One of them. I was going to the hadith of Uthman. Okay, you keep doing that, bro.
Brother, I can't move like that, brother. Like, come on, man. Right.
I went to the Qira'at. I was showing you that there are contradictions within the Qira'at.
You didn't show any contradictions.
I was going to show you that there were contradictions, to be correct myself, within the Qira'at.
Yeah.
You didn't want that.
I didn't say I don't want
you said there was a different argument. But I'm saying it does. Because if you're saying that it's massively transmitted, then you're saying that it goes back to the Prophet.
Yes.
And then if you're saying that it goes back to the Prophet, then you're saying that what has been transmitted is the words of Allah Himself. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Is that what? So you're saying that's not the words of Allah?
No, I'm not saying that either. Remember, focus. You're making a category error. One argument deals with preservation.
Yeah.
The other argument deals with the coherency and the theological stableness of the text itself.
Wait, I don't understand.
Yeah.
He's just like if someone's Timothy was saying, you guys believe that this goes back to Allah, and he goes, no. I don't understand what he's doing.
Yeah. Sorry, this is gonna. Why don't you give some commentary on that, and I'll try to find.
He was literally saying, like, Timothy saying, look, you believe this is mass transmitted, so it goes to Muhammad. He goes, yes, and then ultimately that goes to Allah, and he just goes, no. And I'm like, this guy makes no sense. He just changes position. He literally makes things up on the spot, and then tries to distract from you from figuring out that he literally doesn't know what he's doing.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, this is the section here in the transcript where they're talking about the variant reading, but he definitely says that this is. Why don't we just listen to it and go from there? Because I'll just see.
Because you haven't. Just because a manuscript is early, it doesn't necessitate that the manuscript is more original.
Even if it's attributed to Ibn Masud.
Even if it's attributed to Ibn Masud. The manuscript is not attributed to Ibn Masud. The reading is attributed to Ibn Masud.
Even if that's attributed.
And by the way, we have not even established that it actually goes back to Ibn Masud. You just gave me a random quote of Az-Zamashari saying it. We haven't even gone and looked at the chain of narration. Anyways, that's besides the point. I know you don't have it on you, so I'm not going to give you a hard time.
That's fair.
The point is, okay, if this reading is established to go back to Ibn Masud.
Yeah.
Okay? Assalamu mother. How you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. It's a pleasure. Right? If any reading goes back to a companion, and this reading is not mutawatir, we have no epistemic justification to conclude that it goes back to the Prophet.
Okay.
We're only epistemically justified in concluding that a reading goes back to the Prophet if it is massively transmitted.
Okay.
That's why we have the 10 canonical readings based on the 7 modes or the 7 ahruf.
Based on the 7.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find the section now, but right there what he said is.
I don't know. All I remember is him saying that he doesn't believe it goes back to Ibn Masud.
If I just typed in like interpretation maybe. Quran. Let's see. So your book, Chris, it's trending number 1 categories.
Yes, it is number 1 in Islamic theology and number 1 in Quran, which is hilarious. And number 1 in Christian evangelism. And in terms of overall best-selling, it's number 3 in the American market for Islamic theology. And number one is Nabil Qureshi, which is
Yes.
really cool.
All right.
So things are doing really, really well.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna find this.
He didn't. I swear, like we didn't cover it when we were.
Didn't cover it. Okay.
No, yeah, I can't remember hearing him say that.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but like,
yeah. Could be.
Maybe you've like heard him say it somewhere else or something.
Yeah, I could be thinking he said it somewhere else, but because it is something that Muslims say is that sometimes when the companions have like something attributed to them that is different from what we have written today, that's just their interpretation. It's their interpretive reading. And I wanted to see if he said that. I'm pretty sure that he said that. Let me just check the chat real quick, see if anyone. No. Okay. Anyway, I'll probably find it later on. But
ChatGPT hallucinated, I think.
No. Definitely heard him saying it. I just didn't. I should have wrote it down and closed it or whatever. But okay, let's just say he
find
did
it straight after this chat.
Yeah, I know. That's what happens. So let's say he did say that. Okay, let's say he did say that. I'll just give it so people can screenshot. This is their response to it. So here's the quote in Arabic. So you can screenshot that, and then here's the translation. Okay. So he definitely said it. I just don't have the clip on hand. But this is what Ibn al-Jazari says for people who say that. As for those who isn't it amazing that like the responses like from hundreds and hundreds of years ago that completely refute what Muslims are saying today, and they're so anyway, so it's like you kind of like Muslims saying it today, go back hundreds of years and you see that they are being refuted by their own scholars. As for those who claim that some companions, such as Ibn Mas'ud, permitted reciting by meaning, they have lied about him. Rather, he said, I examined the readings and found them close to one another, so recite as you were taught. Yes, they sometimes inserted explanatory interpretation into the recitation for clarification because they had previous knowledge of what they had received from the Prophet as the Quran, so they were safe from confusion. So in other words, there were some companions who might have added in like explanatory notes or something like that, but because they were so familiar with the Quran, it wasn't going to cause any confusion. But some of them may even read it alongside. But Ibn Mas'ud disliked that and forbade it. So that means that when we have chains that go back to Ibn Mas'ud, authentic chains, and saying he used to read this way, the Quran, he was not giving interpretations. He was not adding in things or reciting according to meaning. What was he doing? He was reading the Quran as he knew it. So he disliked and he forbade when people would add these extra things into the Quran. So you can't say that for Ibn Mas'ud. You might be able to say it for other people, not for Ibn Mas'ud.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So Masruq reported from him that he disliked inserting interpretation into the Quran. And others narrated from him, keep the Quran pure and do not mix it into what is not from it. Yes. So there you have Ibn al-Jazari refuting the claim that that Ibn Mas'ud specifically was, when we have his readings, was just giving interpretation or something like that.
That's good to know.
Yes.
That's good to have.
So yes. And I'm still trying to find that part. So, but I'm not gonna be able to find it. All right. Anyway, let's continue on. So then we have the 7 ahruf. We went over like how many of these exist today, and then like what do they mean. And then you have this problem, which is the canonical readings that exist today. Like this is just a ChatGPT representation of the 20 different readings.
Oh,
and yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So I went to Speaker's Corner last Sunday.
Okay.
And I was there with Timothy.
Okay.
And Timothy had brought in a Hafs reading in Arabic.
Okay.
And Al-Bazari's narration in Arabic.
Yep.
And he had done this. I don't even know if he did this intentionally, but I assume he must have, and that's why he picked those two. But he also had a physical copy of Fidel Suleiman's British translation of the 10 Qira'at of the Noble Quran. And he was literally showing them Surah 10:16, where it says, Allah will inform them. And then Al-Bazari's reading says, Allah will not inform them. And he was showing Muslims in the Arabic these things. And I joined him as he was doing it. And the Muslims pretended not to be able to read Arabic.
Really?
Yeah, literally. Basically, it got to a point because they were really interested in what we were saying, and other Muslims heard what we were doing, and they saw that we had these really, kind of like interesting Islamic-looking books in different colors, and they overheard us saying, "Look, there's many Qurans," and they were like, "No, that's not possible. You're confused. Do you mean translations? All this sort of stuff."
Wow.
And Timothy was going through it, and it was like, no. Really, in Arabic, there are different Arabic readings. Let me show you them. And basically, they refused to look at it. Because we had the Arabic and they said they knew Arabic. So we were like, look, here it is in Arabic and here it is in another book. And they were like, no, we won't read it. And they found excuses not to do it. Yeah.
Wow.
Also, there's a bit of a thing where you have to be careful when you do this because some Muslims get quite emotional and they actually do silly things like run off with your book.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That happened to Jay Smith, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, but yeah, we were doing that at Speaker's Corner, and they have no response to it.
Wow. Yeah. So there you go. When you actually bring them, physical copies in Arabic, they play that they don't even speak Arabic or read Arabic anymore.
They did. Do you guys know Arabic? And we were like, no, but we're quoting this scholar who does know Arabic, who's translated these, and we bought the ones in Arabic so you guys can check, and they. Right, we weren't happy with that.
Wow. So what was the so he brought in, was he bringing up this specific point that we're going over now, or was he what was he?
It was literally just that there are different Qurans with different readings with opposing meanings.
Okay, cool. Gotcha. All right. Man, this is like I just really want to find this section here. I know he said it. I just can't find it. But anyway, it's okay. Maybe not meant to be for this stream. Okay. So yeah. So then there's the relationship between these two. Like, how do these two relate to each other? And these are kind of the timelines. This is from Marion Van Puten's work. I don't have the exact source, but it is, credits to him. This is his lists here. And you have the Ibn Mujahid, the 7 readers. And then later on, there were 2 canonical students that were limited to each reader. So in the beginning, like, it's not just that like one of these teachers had only 2 students. They had multiple students, but eventually, because it got so confusing that you have like one teacher and so many different students, and the students were differing with each other with what the teacher said, they were limited now to having 2 students each. And then after that, we're talking now 15th century. This is Ibn Jazari, who added 3 more readers and then 2 transmitters for each reading.
Because why not? Why not just add some more? Like, wait 500 years, add some more. Why not?
Exactly.
This doesn't sound like we're just changing things as we go along, does it?
Yeah, exactly. And this is from Yasser Qadhi's book. It's on his The Science of the Quran. If you guys want to see, like, this is his estimations for the different readings that are used in the Muslim world today. These are his estimations that 95% use Hafs, 3% use Warsh, and then it tells you the parts of the world where these are used. So if that's interesting or useful, there you go. And then check this out. Actually, no, they're going to want to see their faces. So let's leave ourselves off here.
There's no audio.
Oh, okay. There's no audio.
Maybe you need to
yeah.
share it with the audio thing, Tanner.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, let me just share the screen again, but this time with audio. Yeah, so this is now we're talking about the relationship between the ahruf and the qira'at. So what's the relationship? What's the relationship between these 7 ahruf and these, the 20 readings that we have today, which I'm aware one of them's repeated, but it's just ChatGPT. It's just meant to be like a visual representation, not exactly accurate in every detail. But what's the relationship between these two? You have the ahruf, and then you have today's Qur'ans. And if you look at the dating for some of these, look at the dating, guys. Look at this. So let's look at Hafs, for example. Hafs, he died in 796, 8th century. So he wasn't around at the time of Muhammad. He didn't live in Muhammad's time. And so you couldn't say that one of these harf was attributed to him specifically or solely, but what's the relationship between them? What are the relationship between these ahruf, harf number 1, which differs from harf number 2, which differs from number 7, etc., and then the today's Qur'ans? What's the relationship between the two?
One of the most technical issues, which is ahruf and qira'at, and the reality of ahruf and qira'at. And Sheikh, your master's and PhD is in ulum al-Quran.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Out of all of the subjects of ulum al-Quran, you know as well as I do that ahruf is the one that يعني تحيرت العقول. That ulama were so Suyuti has كل الأئمة. One of the most confusing issues of ulum al-Quran is حقيقة الأحرف.
Yeah, so this is the reality or the nature of the ahruf. It's the most confusing issue. And so I have another clip here.
What is the ahruf and what is the relationship of the qira'at with the ahruf? Yes, now this is one of the most complicated and dense questions that ulama have written about. As-Suyuti lists 40 opinions in Al-Itqan, right? Ash-Shawkani also lists them. The teacher of our teachers, Sheikh Shanqiti, the one who wrote Adwa al-Bayan, right? He was asked, what is your opinion about the ahruf? And he said, my opinion about the ahruf is that I don't have an opinion. This is a Shanqiti. He's so confused.
That's what we read earlier. By the way, I sort of just kind of played over this, but I forgot how funny this is. I've heard it so many times that I'm forgetting. It's like first time for some people. So this guy here on the right, he's a Muslim scholar, PhD in Islamic studies, and yeah. So when you guys heard him reciting the Quran, I thought that was a funny thing because he's like, you have a PhD in this topic. He's singing. I'll just play it one more time.
That's so good. When he does the singing, what is that?
Like you are the expert, man. You're the expert.
One of the most technical issues, which is ahruf and qira'at, and the reality of ahruf and qira'at. And Sheikh, your master's and PhD is in ulum al-Quran.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Out of all of the subjects.
So that's the master of yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. So I just want to let people know who the PhDs are in Islam and what these guys are all about. So yeah. So the question is, what's the relationship between these two things? And like Yasser Qadhi is saying, is that it's the most confusing topic for Muslims. The most confusing topic for Muslims. Now, one of the things that I really like about this topic is, Yasser Qadhi famously said
that the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.
The standard narrative has holes in it. And so we kind of visualize that with the holes in the standard narrative. And so one of the ways that we like to kind of segue, I think I first heard this from Hatun, and I really like this, was that the holes in the standard narrative are not what's going to save you. And this is really beautiful. But the holes in the hands and the feet of the Lord Jesus Christ is what will save you. And then we ended with Isaiah 53, but he was pierced for our transgressions. The holes that save, the holes that bring salvation are the ones in the Lord Jesus Christ. He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him. And by his wounds, by those holes, we are healed. So Muslims, forsake the holes of the standard narrative and come to the holes, come to the feet of the Lord Jesus Christ. He is our salvation. He is our healer. He is the one who can save you if you come to him. So that's how we like to tie the two, and we like to kind of make the segue into the gospel presentation. But
That's a nice way of doing it.
Yeah, I first heard Hashim present it like that, and then I was like, yeah, I really like that, so I started adopting that when I presented as well. And it's really important to emphasize when you're talking to Muslims that they've been lied to on this topic. And this is another segue, which is that when you bring this up to them, you know, they're gonna say something to you that you now know is not what Muslim scholars say. So you're gonna have to ask the question, okay, so if Muslims taught you, your scholars, your whatever, who taught you this, your Muslim leaders today taught you this, like I brought up here, like, you know, the different scholars here, right? Like these are slides from Bernie Power, and these are like, you know, the only one Quran, same throughout the world, not even a dot. Like, let's read this one. The astonishing fact about this book of Allah is that it has remained unchanged, not even to a dot, over the last 1400 years. No variation of text can be found in it. And if we go through some of these ones, today, right now, they're saying this. To this day, one can travel to any part of the world and can pick up a copy of the Quran and find in it the same throughout the world. The Quran text is entirely reliable. It has not been altered, edited, or tampered with since it was revealed. All Muslims know only one Quran perfectly preserved in its original words. So these are what Muslims are taught. And so what we like to do is say, okay, you guys are taught this about the Quran from these authors, from these scholars, but it contradicts the reality. Your earlier scholars contradicted them, and they said things in ways that would completely shake you up if you believe. If you were taught growing up your whole life and you're only taught there's only one Quran, no variations in it at all, and then you learn that there are variations, that there are different Arabic Qurans in different parts of the world, then that's going to shake you up. And Yasser Qadhi is saying that that's been like that since the beginning of Islam. That once Muslims learned about this topic of different variations of the Quran, it shook them up. Even though through history you have after that, you know, Muslim scholars have tried to reconcile these things and try to make up different theories. According to Yasser Qadhi, it's been unsuccessful. That there are holes in the standard narrative. The standard narrative has holes. So if you can present this to them in a way to show them that how you guys have been taught about Islam, the basis of your whole faith is your Quran, you've been lied to about that, what else have you been lied to about? And that kind of opens up the doors to, you know, another presentation of the gospel that you can show them, like, you've been lied to about the Quran and how it's been preserved, how it's been handed down to you through history, and how it exists, how it's been preserved, how it exists. You were also lied to about, you know, for example, the Lord Jesus Christ. You were lied to about the crucifixion not happening, that there's no resurrection, that, you know, that's there. So it kind of opens up the door to all these different things. So that's how some other ways that we like to do it. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Chris? Before we wrap up, what are your final thoughts? And what kind of?
You're totally right. It is ultimately just Muslims deceiving other Muslims, because the truth is actually really dangerous. They were brought into Islam, or at least they were kept in Islam, a lot of them, because of the supposed preservation. The Quran in and of itself is a miracle, and it's such a profound miracle, supposedly, because it hasn't been.
Whoa. Sorry. 1 second. What's going on right now?